Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another edition of Dangle Bet Selly right here on Game Plus Network, powered by FTN, presented by PointsBet Canada. Chris Meaney and the Eric Young here with you on this Tuesday. Going to recap last night's action in the NHL. The Tampa Bay Lightning back in the Stanley Cup Final. If you doubted them, it's okay. I think we all doubted them a little bit. But they bounced back in a big way last night on home ice, a 6-2 W. If you're watching live on our FTN Network YouTube page, we appreciate if you can smash the like button. You have any comments or any questions, you can certainly leave them there as we look ahead as well to Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals happening tomorrow evening in Tampa Bay. You can also listen to this show on iTunes or Spotify, and we'll be with you until the cup is raised, and we'll also be like fantasy hockey psychos, taking a look at the way too early 2022-23 fantasy hockey rankings a little bit later on. Not on this episode, but next week. As Eric, I'm excited because it means that we're going to at least have one more game. I was hoping that we could get to 6 or 7 in this series. Tampa back in it. What do you think of last night's action?
A pretty interesting game. And I mean, I don't know if it was as one-sided as game 2, but Tampa was really good. Lots of, problems to deal with players being hurt and going out. Paul left. He looked pretty banged up. He came back. Kucherov looks, yikes, he looks pretty hurt. Corey Perry could have 2 broken legs. I mean, I don't know. He went into the boards really, really hard and really weird. And I mean, if anyone thought, I bet on Tampa to win that game. It wasn't crazy odds, but made a little bit of money there. Tampa, it's the old Ric Flair saying, guys, and I know there's lots of people probably that don't know or really know who or care who Ric Flair is, but to be the man, you got to beat the man, and that's just the reality. And Tampa Bay is the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions. John Cooper should have won Coach of the Year. God, why can't I never remember the GM's name? You had to help me out.
Oh, Brisebois. Yeah.
Brisebois should be GM of the year. I don't think it. I mean, I think Daryl Sutter did a great job, but John Cooper very easily could win his 3rd Stanley Cup in a row with a completely different team, other than the core players, so it's great for me having no dog in the fight. I'm like you, I'm hanging on to hockey as long as I can. I want 7 games because the second it's done, I get really depressed. I lock myself in my room. I cry for 20 or 30 seconds, and then I go straight into football like a lunatic.
I absolutely love it. Today's going to be fun. We do have a fan in the house. Drew Livingstone is going to stop by in a little bit. He's of Sportsnet. I don't know if you remember Drew from Anthem Sports Entertainment Days. Of course, this show on Game Plus Network. And I used to work with Drew, and I know you used to come on a couple of our shows, like several, FST Live over at Anthem Sports and Entertainment. And we had like a hockey show, Home Ice Advantage as well. I know that you popped on there, and Drew, was running the camera for us in the studio, our YouTube stuff as well, and he is running some stuff for Steve Dangle. He's doing some fantastic stuff. He's actually a really great follow and just a really good dude of mine, and both of us are talking, we don't have a dog in the race, we're saying, and we just want highly entertaining hockey, but it'll be nice to kind of get the emotions of an Avalanche fan here, probably feeling pretty darn good after game 2, that beatdown, right? And then going into Tampa and maybe feeling not as great here this morning, but he's hanging by. He'll be around in a little bit. Do want to give a shout out to one of our FTN daily subs who had a big night, Stumpy, my guy. Wow. And a shout out to Griff Dog with the article over at ftndaily.com, the showdown article breaking things down. He won himself $5K last night in NHL Showdown. He says he took down the $4.20 max. So a shout out to him. His lineup looked like this, Eric. He had Cale Makar as his captain, his MVP. 43 fantasy points from last night. Vasilevsky, 27.9. He had Steven Stamkos, 26 points. Hedman, 22. Landeskog, 24. No Kucherov in this lineup, who showed up in a big way, and we'll get to him in a little bit. You mentioned his injury. He did a whole lot in that game yesterday. It was kind of invisible through the first 2 games of the series. Patrick Maroon in the flex, who picked up a couple points, had a goal, 15 points in there. Patrick Maroon has played like 21 Stanley Cup games, right? With his time with Tampa over the past couple of years, and then with St. Louis there as well. He has been in the Stanley Cup Finals a lot recently, and so has Corey Perry, who set an NHL record last night. 4 Stanley Cup Final goals on 4 different teams. The Anaheim Ducks, the Dallas Stars, last year with the Montreal Canadiens, and then last night on the power play, which we've talked a lot about, him on the power play with no Braden Point, who couldn't suit up last night. He had a power play goal last night. So Corey Perry setting records. We'll get to Kucherov a little bit later on as well, but I wanted to give a shout out there to Stumpy, our guy Stump in our Discord channel, who took down a whole lot of cash. And if you are looking to be part of the FTN Daily fam, there's still time. I know that, the cup is going to be raised soon, but if you are a DFS player, over at ftndaily.com/pricing, you can get the diamond package. You can use the promo code Meaney NHL, save yourself a little bit of cash. The package includes NFL, NBA, NBA is done, but PGA, college sports around the corner. MLB is still going strong. Tennis, NASCAR, esports, F1. We cover it all over at ftndaily.com. You get the Discord channel in there, and then access to some tools and projections and all that good stuff. And the FTN betting package. Use, again, promo code NHL, Meaney, save yourself a little bit of cash. EY, last night was okay. We'll get into some of the statistics, from the 5-5 numbers, the Colorado side of things, and the Tampa Bay Lightning side of things. Your boy Nichushkin broke my heart last night. He's been so good. Last night was an okay day in terms of betting. We had Tampa. We had the over. The over is hitting all 3 games now. I'm looking at the odds for game 4. It's basically a pick 'em as of now, and the total is still there at 6. Vasilevsky had a really strong performance last night, but the total still got there over 6. But, all the guys that we talked about in the Discord channel and on this show, Makar, McKinnon, Landeskog, Hedman on the other side, Palat, these guys all hit their shot props, but Nichushkin was an inch away from a goal, another goal. We had him for a point, we had him for a goal, we had him for 2 shots. We just did not get it. But overall, and be honest, after game 2, did you count them out, Tampa?
No,
did you say
I
that's
didn't.
it? No,
I didn't. So we 2 TV tapings. Everyone knows I'm the hockey guy, and asking me what I thought. And there's some hockey fans that work there. There's one of the guys on the ring crew that is a diehard Avalanche fan. And I thought I was going to have to get into a fist fight with him when they beat the Preds, and he was rubbing it in my face. And, but we talked for an hour yesterday, and he's all pumped up, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. One of the marketing promoting guys, Lou, went to game 1, just happened to be in Denver, and had unreal seats. And he said the price was insane, but he said he had a blessed time. He sang every word of all the small things. I said it's a really cool experience in Denver at Ball Arena. But yeah, for me, it's exactly like I said. Even when they got slaughtered, in game 2, it was a massacre. It was like they just played poorly. And I knew going home, a reset, a day off, all of those players, cool as cucumbers, they come out, they play their game, they muck it up in the neutral zone, and they take away some of that speed coming through the neutral zone. The entries were just not the same that we saw in game 1 and game 2. And this is how I thought that Tampa would try to play Colorado. And we finally saw it. It took them to game 3 to get their act together, but it's together. And I'm telling you right now, this is a series. And if I'm betting, I'm not going to, because the odds are completely even. Well, that's the odds I'm seeing right now. If I'm betting Tampa to win game 4, and it's going to be 2-2.
Okay, it's going to be 2-2. There was a lot of differences, definitely a lot of differences from game 2 to game 3. The Tampa Bay Lightning had one high danger chance in game 2, and it was from Corey Perry. And last night they had 5 goals in the slot. Oh, here we go. Producer Drew is in the house of Sportsnet, so we'll bring him in now. Again, a good buddy of mine, and those at Anthem Sports and Entertainment know him quite well. But I'm not going to lie, he's a big, big Avs fan. Here he is. Oh, look at this guy. Look at the background. And you got the Stanley Cup champion banner there from 21. You got Sakic behind you. You're rocking the Avs jersey and the Cale Makar playoff beard, I suppose. Welcome in, Drew. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I have the adolescent 12-year-old playoff beard going, so the wife hates it, but too bad. It's worked so far, right?
Eric, do you remember Drew from? I brought that up earlier, but I don't know if you.
I know that we met us a couple times in passing, and I know he does stuff. I think that I was talking to Adam yesterday. I don't know if I'm wrestling in Toronto on Saturday, and I don't know if he invited you, but I think he said you were one of the guys who was going to come. So
Yeah,
we're
that's
going to meet in
possible.
person.
I may be there. We'll see.
Sweet.
Drew, last week Eric was rocking a Colorado Avalanche jersey. I
had mine on yesterday, but it smelled, so I'm repping the Ottawa.
Aren't you a Nashville guy? How are you rocking a Colorado jersey?
Look at this.
I'm a crazy person. I mean, as you've probably guessed, and I have one from every team. I have about 80 jerseys.
I don't know if my team got swept, I wouldn't touch the jersey of the team that swept them. I'm just going to say that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I bet that the Colorado Avalanche would win the Stanley Cup. So.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so you're invested. That's fair.
He's been all over the Avs from day one.
And I will physically be. I'll marry Valery Nichushkin if he gives me a chance.
I mean, just give him $1 million to make Joe Sakic have to pay him less. How about that? Give him some of your winnings.
I can get involved.
Oh man, yeah, he's been all over the Avs since day one before the season started. And you know me, Drew, talking with you every single day. I've been a little, can they get by the second round? I need to see it first. But I appreciate you jumping on because I'm sure last night was very emotional for you. I want to get your the highs and lows. Like it was. I'm assuming it's completely high after game 2. My goodness, you could have. I don't think as an diehard Avs fan, you probably didn't expect a 7-0 beatdown in game 2, and heading into Tampa, you probably thought, man, if they could win this one.
If they series. I was thinking last night, if they win game 3, the series is over, right? You're up 3-0. Are you really going to lose 3 straight? But you knew game 3 was going to be Tampa's best game, and we saw it. They completely changed the way they break out of their own zone. I don't know if you noticed that from games 1 and 2 to 3. Instead of going up the same wall, the short side, they're now doing the cross crease, which is negating that awesome forecheck by the guys like Lehkonen and Nichushkin. So you're going to see Bednar change the way they play in game 4. I mean, it's a series now. I wasn't as sad as I thought I would be last night just because it was over so quick. I think you guys know what that's like. So I was sitting there in a second. I was like, this game's over. Why am I still watching? I watched the last 30 minutes, but after 30 minutes, you knew it was done. You're not coming back from 3 down against Vasilevsky.
Did you see that as well, the adjustments? Because EY, we've been talking a lot about that, throughout the entire playoffs. It's Tampa Bay's adjustments. They looked, kind of outmatched early on against the Leafs. They clearly had their way with Florida. They were down 2-0 against the Rangers and then 2-0 against Colorado and just looked absolutely. I want to give credit to the Avs from game 2. It's not just Tampa looking awful and everyone's all over Vasilevsky, not himself. But man, if it wasn't for him, they would have lost by 10 or 11 goals. Did you see that last night? Tampa making just those little adjustments, trying to get out of their own end because the puck management through the first 2 games is just not great.
Yeah, you definitely felt like they were going to adjust. And, and a lot of times, I don't know, Cooper is not a guy that is big on line matching. It's I got to have this pair out with these guys. But they definitely, like I said earlier, they need to slow them down. They just have speed up and down their lineup. Eben Cabell, who didn't even play, is just a rocket on ice. New Hook, crazy fast player. Everyone knows McKinnon, Makar, but they have crazy speed all over the lineup, and they needed to slow them down with entering the zone and stuff like that. And like Drew said, that's exactly what he did. And I said it earlier when we were talking about awards. The fact that John Cooper didn't win Coach of the Year is blasphemous.
You guys giving out awards. No, it's just I get it. I understand it, but
blasphemous.
Why not?
It's nonsense.
But I get it. Cooper, nobody really talks about Cooper, right, Drew? Everyone just talks about the team.
Jack Adams Award is the most improved team award. It's the same as the GM of the year.
Right.
If it was the best GM of the year, the Stanley Cup is that trophy, let's be honest.
Yeah,
fair. Okay, so I don't think the Avs need to make any crazy adjustments. I think the only issue they have is just Kemper.
And if you look at expected goals, the Avs had a higher expected goal total than the Tampa Bay Lightning last night. Kemper didn't play great. You can't blame it all on him, though. The goals were really in close. Let's be honest. How many goals were far away wrist shots on the blue line where you're he should have had that? Maybe he should have had one. It would be nice to get a huge save in a huge moment, like when Stamkos is spinning in front, but he's not that goalie. And I still think you go back to him for game 4. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Eric, you got to roll with Kemper.
Yeah, I think they will. I think if Frank Host maybe put on some kind of a clinic last night, maybe there's a thought to it, but he certainly did not. Kemper's the starter for a reason. They were talking he's 6-0 in his starts. And Kemper's the goalie. If he's healthy, you got to play him. And I think he'll start. I think that the leash shot even shorter. And all three of us, I'm sure, and everybody in the hockey community is saying, is just the series really comes down to goaltending. And can Kemper stop enough to keep him in? And last night, that was not the case. And Vasilevsky kind of turned back into Vasilevsky. I don't know when they had 40 shots, 38 shots. He was Vasilevsky again. And like Drew said, we've got a series.
What's the worst goalie or a team to carry a goalie to a Stanley Cup win recently? Is it Matt Murray? But Matt Murray played well for Pittsburgh when they won, so I don't even know who
he played really well. And the Penguins were good too. I just think of goalies that have carried their teams to the finals and lost. Obviously last year with Price.
Maybe Holtby and Grubauer, that was kind of a duo, but then Holtby took it back over, so I don't know.
Yeah, Holtby took it back over. J.S. Shagir back in the day with the Ducks, right? When the Ducks kind of ran through and then they lost in the finals.
The Flyers, when they played, was it Lettinen and Elliott?
And Boucher too, or Bouchard, or
right.
was it Boucher?
Dude,
is it Boucher or Bouchard?
I can barely remember.
Bouchard. But yeah, anyways, I think it's Boucher. I'm gonna have to look that up, but it doesn't matter. Those Philly, that team ended up losing. It's another team that lost to the Hawks, but they did have just random goaltenders that kind of carried them through. But the Avs just have so much firepower. If Kemper can just kind of hold them to 2 or 3 a game, you feel like they'll win. But there's a lot of just craziness that's happening here now, Drew.
Yep.
On both sides, right? So with the Avs, we're seeing Nazem Kadri now. He's skating. I think he took a little shot last night. Are we going to see him tomorrow night? Burakovsky had the game winner in game 1. He was good in game 2 early on. Then he left and he didn't play last night. And on the other side, you got Kucherov. Braden Point didn't play. Bogosian left for a minute. Nick Paul left. And I love the comment from Craig Simpson. It was kind of a shot at beer league players. He said that Nick Paul looked like an average beer league hockey player trying to skate last night. And his first shift back, he scored. What's the latest on Kadri? Do you think you see him tomorrow? Do you think we see him at all in this series?
I don't think they fly him to Tampa if he's not at least ready for game 4. I think because they lost game 3, he's in for game 4. I think if they would have won no matter what, he's in for game 4. I think you don't fly the guy to Tampa, to be with the team maybe, and Burakovsky's now there too. I think they're both back in the lineup tomorrow night.
And that was one thing, I guess. Was that on Rantanen? Was that more on Rantanen the Palat goal? Maybe he's
huge. Rantanen doesn't know what he's doing.
He's not a really defensive center.
If you watch the frame by frame of that goal, Rantanen's I got him. Oh wait, where'd he go? And then Palat's 6 feet behind him in front of Kemper by himself. And Devon Tays had probably the worst game of his NHL career last night. Let's be honest.
They were -4, I think, Makar and Taves, and
and 2 of the goals were him just giving the puck away.
Yeah, giving the puck away. He gave it away in Tampa's zone, and then that was the rush. They kind of went on that 3-on-2.
They did look a little too relaxed.
So is this just an outlier game? I think so. Bounce back and win again, and Tampa will.
I think Tampa wins game 4. Yeah, I do.
Interesting. I think if Kadri and Burakovsky are both back in the lineup, the Avs take game 4. But I think, honestly, it comes down to Nate Dogg McKinnon. He hasn't had his game yet in this series, and you could see it's coming. You could see last night he wanted it. In that second and third period, he was like, give me the puck, give me the puck, give me the puck. And I think that game's coming. So if there's a 2-goal bet on McKinnon for game 4, I'm taking it.
Oh, George, do you have some of the Avs stats handy? We're going to bring them up later on. So just from last McKinnon, 13 shot attempts.
Yeah.
To be fair, Drew, you mentioned the expected goals, and really they did have the edge for the first 2 periods despite getting outscored, and Tampa finally having some success, off the rush and scoring in the slot. But in the third period, it was just all Avs. 22-2 were the shot attempts in that 5-5 in that third period. But McKinnon had 13 attempts, 8 scoring chances, 6 shots. He's yet to have a goal, like you said. I do believe that big game is coming. You can't keep him off the score sheet, this long. Just like Kucherov, the first 2 games he's very quiet, and then all of a sudden showed up in a big way. Landeskog again opened up the scoring. I believe he has the first goal in 4 matchups between these 2 teams.
And he scored the first goal in all 4 of their series this playoffs.
Unbelievable. 7 scoring chances, 3 shots on goal, 2 goals. An unbelievable snipe, man. Fantastic shot on that second goal. And then Makar with all those attempts. And I'm seeing Cale Makar as of right now, Drew, -150 to win the Conn Smythe. Vasilevsky +380. McKinnon +450. Kucherov +550. Do you agree? Can you talk to us about Makar? You watch this guy every night. How special?
I think he's up there with in the conversation for best player in the world with McDavid. Honestly, I know McDavid's got the points, 140 points or 158, whatever it was, but Makar plays defense and he's keeping up with these guys. Like he's the first defenseman over 100 points, regular season playoffs combined in I think like 20 years.
Brian Leach.
It's just the way he plays on both ends of the ice. I mean, if you take McDavid out of the picture, it's probably Matthews or Makar right now for best player in the world.
I would agree. What do you think about that, EY? You're shaking your head. Yes. When we used to work together at The Athletic in his rookie season, he told everybody, stop what you're doing right now and try to acquire Cale Makar in every one of your leagues, every keeper league, dynasty league, trade everybody you can. EY is a huge Makar fan, and I think
I still got fired, but the truth is it had nothing to do with that, but I did still get fired. But yeah, I told anyone, I said, if you're of any league, but especially if you're in a dynasty league and this guy makes it past pick 10, you're going to hate yourself forever. He's a generational player, and you hear rumblings about him. He wasn't first overall and there's people picked in front of him, but that all had to do with him being from a small school and not playing a ton of high level college hockey. And look what he's doing. I mean, the physical skills are one thing, but it's the mental and the vision, and it's a lot of like Yossi, like he's behind the net and then the puck is going the other way and then somehow he's back and he's back checking. You're like, how did he get there? Like it's Nightcrawler, he's somehow he's down in the corner and you're like, what is he doing? No, don't. And then they're going the other way and then somehow he's there playing defense. He's my favorite player to watch in the NHL.
I laughed at
it's not close.
McKinnon's comments before Game 3. They asked about Makar, like what he thought when they drafted him. He was like, I was pissed. He was like, I called the guys on the team and I was like, who's this guy we're drafting from the Alberta Junior Hockey League? I know those guys all suck. Like I understand he's gonna be good, but
that's too like McKinnon, right? Like, this guy shouldn't be a scout or he shouldn't be a GM. I mean, we all love a Terry Lehkonen on this show, but trading 10 first-round picks for Terry Lehkonen and I love the Brian Burke thing that came out a couple of years ago. Our scout said Cale Makar. Ron Hextall didn't want Makar. He wanted Nolan Patrick. It's like, oh my goodness, man. Like that was whoopsie days. It's crazy to kind of compare him to Bobby Orr. Like none of us we haven't seen Bobby Orr play live, but the people that haven't, we're seeing it. We're seeing like a version of him up and down the ice. He's the best skater I think I've ever seen. Like his edge work is phenomenal. And yeah, again, guys, I didn't see Paul Coffey. Like he's doing Paul Coffey things. Drew, that stat you gave up, the 100+ points, combined playoffs and Stanley Cup, like Brian Leach from the Rangers days, like back in the mid.
I mean, Erik Karlsson, 90s. Like EY's Ottawa Senators. So
that's right.
When he was in the
and I think Karlsson was great, but I think what we're seeing is completely over
way past
the top
Karlsson.
from Karlsson. And he hasn't even touched the start of his prime yet.
Yeah, that's right. He could barely buy a beer.
It's true. It's true.
He's a child. He could be my child, and it wouldn't even be weird.
Sure, I want to get you out on here in a couple things. The Kucherov, we have to talk about Kucherov. So last night, I thought it was a dirty hit by him. Kucherov kind of, people, I don't know if they watch, Kucherov all the time. He's pretty chippy. And there's a couple things. Sometimes he's just out there and he's skating around. It doesn't look like he's trying. And then all of a sudden he turns Taves inside out, cross pass Palat. It's like, oh, there's Kucherov. And then, just one shot in the first two games of the Stanley Cup Finals. And then he showed up in a big way last night. And I feel like you just want to kind of keep him quiet. You don't want to poke the bear with Kucherov. And then last night I thought he had a dirty hit on Manson. He probably should have had the penalty. And then the play continues. And then Taves gives him that shot.
Yeah.
What do you think of that whole situation? And now, I'm assuming Kucherov's going to play, but who knows?
Yeah, he's fine. They said after the game he was walking perfectly fine and laughing with his teammates. So I think he was just acting it up a bit. But I think it's on the refs, man. I mean, if you just call the boarding on Kucherov, none of that stuff happens. And then you saw the fists at the end of the game, like Logan O'Connor, huge fight. It's all, if the refs just give them both 2, give Manson 2, give them all penalties, just settle it down. That's how people get hurt when they have to retaliate and police themselves. So I think that's on the refs, honestly. I know it was a bit of a dirty hit on Kucherov, but it's on the refs.
Kucherov is a little bit of we can agree, he embellishes. Right? He embellishes a little bit. Come on.
Like Corey Perry? Corey Perry behind the net, and then he goes and punches Kemper. Yeah, you're real hurt. And then 2 games in a row, this guy's punched the Colorado goalie.
He's the best.
I mean, he's the guy that you only want on your team, but you hate him if he's not.
It's exactly it. I couldn't stand Corey Perry, and I just loved him last year in the Habs. And we talked about him, a Stanley Cup record, 4 Stanley Cup final goals on 4 different teams. But yeah, he's leaning on, what was it, O'Connor's leg like that.
Comfort,
I thought that
yeah.
Comfort, yeah. Kneeling on it. Yeah, he had it, and And then he kind of has situated himself a little bit to kneel on it a little bit more in a tougher spot
full
near
body
the
weight,
ankle.
yeah. And that's you're like can snap on that.
You can snap on that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's such a dick move, but it's hilarious.
And then he punches Kemper a little bit. Yeah, so that kind of stuff you see in the Stanley Cup Finals, you see in the playoffs. But Kucherov, I thought he embellished just a little bit. He got right up after and went after Taves, and he's like, oh, and this guy's just going to stay on the power play, and then he had a bad shot, and he's like, all right, that's it. He can barely get off the ice. I want to ask you, Drew, though, as a defenseman, I mentioned off the top, Drew and I are good buddies in communication all the time. We used to work together. We used to play hockey together. We won provincial championships together, ball hockey. He's a pretty good defenseman. He's not a Cale Makar defenseman. He likes to jump the rush and join the rush, and he can score. Have you ever pulled that? That's a nasty move what Taves did last night. Have you ever pulled that on a player? It's more of an ice hockey move.
Yeah, it's like
you
over
could
the pants,
get on the pants and the feet come up. It's a dirty play.
It's more a play that you'll see guys use in front of the net to move bodies. It's not really on the rush. But if you look 3 seconds before that, Kucherov gives him a huge cross check in the ribs to gain that separation. So I don't even know if it was because of the play before. Taves might have just been angry because of the cross check he just received from Kucherov. But people don't talk about the first cross check, only the retaliation. So.
Only retaliation. Ewa, I don't know how intense your beer league hockey is in Smashville, but has anybody ever done that to you? It does not a good feeling.
I'm given a pretty wide berth. Usually, I mean, we're playing like sea level. Like sometimes it gets chippy, and sometimes but it's not. It doesn't get too nuts. If it was nuts, I wouldn't play. It's that kind of stuff. These guys. I mean, you got to be up at 7 a.m. and go to work. Like, stop.
I tell that all the time, the beer league hockey guys, we got to get up and go to work tomorrow. Like, let's settle down here.
Everybody you paid money to be here, like me. Just everybody relax.
One thing I want to say before I get out of here, Meaney, it's embarrassing to me that the Tampa Bay fans need clappers and noisemakers. That's the biggest joke in the world. Like, make the noise with your hands. Like, clap, cheer. What are you doing? What's this nonsense with the noisemakers?
Yeah, definitely not as electric in Tampa as Colorado. There's so many things to like about Colorado.
They have Muskoka chairs outside at the watch party. Are you kidding me?
Yes, yeah. And even years ago when Tampa was in the second round, I think against the Canadiens, they made it so you had to have a zip code to purchase a ticket because the Montreal fans were taking over the building. So, I mean, the fan base is... I don't want to take too many shots here. We got some Lightning people hanging out here, but we think we can all agree that it's a little bit more electric in Colorado than Tampa. And this the way they sing the Blink-182 song. I get up myself and sing it. It's fun. I got to get you out of here. I know you got to go. Just like a quick couple rapid fire stuff. Nichushkin next year, an Av. And what does his contract look like?
5 times $6.5 million, and he's an Av.
He's an Av? Man, he's so impressive. He's been.
I wrote about him too, and still got fired.
He still got let go, dude. What the heck? Okay, who wins Game 4, and who's the standout for the Avs? Is it McKinnon?
Colorado wins 3-1. Darcy Kemper makes 42 saves.
Wow, a bounce back for Kemper.
Here we go.
Okay, who's been the most underrated player for the Avs throughout these playoffs?
Darren Helm. I think he came out of nowhere from regular season to playoffs, and now he's like established himself as like one of our best players. And like in the regular season, you didn't even notice this guy half the time.
Yeah. I think Steve Dangle thought he was dead.
Yeah, he did. He was like, I didn't even know this guy still played, and he scored against the Blues.
I'm just giving him a hard time.
Yeah,
I know he didn't think he was dead, but he was like, "Oh, I didn't know he was still playing."
He's still playing at not a high level, but he's been very noticeable throughout the playoffs. I like that call.
He's been all over it. He can still skate, right? That's why they pick him up. I mean, their pickups were Darren Helm and Cogliano. What do we know about those players? I mean, they're almost useless offensively, but what can they both do?
And Cogliano was on the ice, it felt like every time in Game 2 when they were scoring goals, EY. And then Manson too is another guy who had who's been shooting the puck and
who knew Manson was so fast? Good. I didn't even know.
Yeah, it's like, wow, this guy's got a 2-on-1 and he sniped. There was one more thing, but I forget now. We'll get you out of here. If you have anything you want to plug, I know you're doing a lot of great stuff over at Sportsnet, and you have a football show. I mean, football is a long way away, but you can be doing that again with Cam Stewart.
Yeah, I'll be doing that in the fall with Cam Stewart. Watch a Stanley Cup Final game with Steve Dangle. I'll be on for every elimination game in the series, whether I'm sad or not. So tune in when Colorado eventually blows this series in 6. I'm getting all my mentions in my DMs.
Do you have any crazy superstitions besides growing that thing on your face?
I switch jerseys mid-game if we're not doing well, and if we come back and do well with the jersey I'm wearing, I have to wear that jersey next game. I also like to eat the same meal for dinner on the days we win. So like yesterday, we had pizza last night, so I won't be eating pizza the rest of the series.
EY just like doesn't believe in that. I just love it. I think it's great, man. I was a kid in '93 when the Habs won the cup, and I remember things, and my dad would say like, "Listen, like you came over and they lost. You're not coming back for Game 4." Like,
1,000%.
Like,
if I have a buddy
everybody
here,
that was here for Game 4 here, he's not coming back. He's not invited. And all the people that came for the winning and they sat where they sat, you got to sit back there again. Drew, appreciate it. Producer Drew _ a great follow, even if you don't love the Avs. We'll say goodbye to you, and EY and I will continue to hang out. Good luck to your Avs, dude.
See you guys. Thanks for having me.
Awesome stuff. Drew's great. He's fun to watch a hockey game with. And if you want to look for a little bit of something else throughout the game, like he said, to watch the game live with Steve Dangle, I think for me it was really entertaining to watch him watch the Leafs lose last year to the Habs. Like, I felt for him. He's a good dude, and I did feel for the heartache that he had. But ultimately, it's fun to get that fan perspective and to watch that fan like go through those emotions and things like that. Great comment there from Myron. Side note, great match with Josh
thank you,
Alexander on Sunday EY. What do you think about it?
Yeah, very proud of it. Yeah, it was it went very well, and everyone that watched seems to be really thinking it was a thing. I've heard some mentions match of the year, and it's cool, man. It's something I'm very, very proud of for sure.
Nice, very nice. Daily Handle always take a shot at the Leafs. I mean, we're taking shots at the Habs, taking shots at every team. That's what being a fan of sports is. It's all in good.
I did want to mention, we're talking about superstitions. Really good buddy, man. One of my best friends from Nashville, this guy, Charlie Saunier. Crazy Charlie is his nickname. He's been on the radio for like 30 or 40 years. He's got his own podcast now. It's Pred-centric, but they cover them. They cover the Milwaukee Admirals. They do just such an amazing job. It's called Renegades of Puck. If anyone wants to check it out, you can find it on Spotify and YouTube and all this stuff. He does it all. It's all written, produced, shot, and distributed all by him and all the guys that work there, and they do an awesome job. But we were at a playoff game. I want to say it was Anaheim. In Nashville when they beat them and went to the second round for the first time. And we were down, I think, 2-0. And he went to the bathroom, and they scored when he was in the bathroom. So he just said, "I'm not coming back." And he stayed in the bathroom for the rest of the game, which is like a period and a half. He's like just a legend. He's a legend.
Oh, I love that.
"I'm not coming back."
Hilarious.
His wife she's with us, sitting with us. And he just says, "I'm not coming back." And he spent the rest of the game in the bathroom, and we won. And we all owe it to Charlie.
That's fantastic.
Not coming back.
What's funny, what reminded me about that was, so I was at the Bell Center for round 3, 2014. It was against the Rangers. The Rangers were up, I think, 3-1 in the series, and Price was hurt. He got hurt game 1 against Kreider. Kind of ran into him. He ran into him all right. So that game, we kind of got to the Bell Center late. We didn't know if we were going to go. Tickets were cheap. I drove from Toronto. It was just kind of like spur of the moment in the morning. I was like, it would be so great to be at the Bell Center for a playoff game. And I think most people just thought, the Habs are going to lose the series and tickets were cheap. So we went to that game and we showed up a little late. So we didn't see Deanna. We missed the first 2 games, my partner. So we missed the first 2 goals. We got there late, and then we were ordering drinks for the first one. And then we got to the seats, and there were no goals. And then she left. And then right away, the Canadians scored. And then while she was in line, they scored again. So they scored like 2 quick ones. And as she was coming back, like I was chatting with the guy next to me, and said we were late. And he missed all the goals. And then we kind of realized that, it was her fault. When she's gone, they score. So when she came back, everyone was like, "Go away. Like, go back to get more drinks." Like, they're not scoring, because the Rangers scored 4 goals in like 4 minutes to tie it up. And they're all like, "Get out of here." And she kind of joked, like, "Should I leave?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like, I don't think so. But like, these people really want you to go." Anyways, like, they ended up scoring a couple more goals later on. But people are hardcore, man. Has no effect at all, but I love hearing those kind of stories.
0 effect. You have nothing to do with it.
You can't control it.
And don't be the guy at the games, 1, with a different team jersey that's not playing that night, and 2, turning around and waving your arms like you're in control of the crowd, and we're cheering more loud because you're looking at me and waving your arms. Like, don't be that asshole.
What do you think about the wave at sporting events? What do you think about the wave? What do you think about the wave at sporting events? Do you like it?
I mean, if you have to do the wave, then you probably shouldn't be paying to go to that sport. It's as simple as that. It's stupid.
So you've never partaken?
I've done it when I was 5. Yeah.
Yeah. And you tried to start it when you were 5.
At a baseball game when nothing's happening for an hour and a half. Yeah, that was fun. But if you have time to do it at a hockey game, it's a piss poor hockey game.
I don't think I've really seen it too much at hockey games, like maybe in between whistles or late when the game's out of control. But
I hope you do it at a hockey game and you're not looking and the puck gets flipped over the boards and hits you in the face. That's what I'm hoping for. While you're
Pay attention.
Doing the wave.
Pay attention. EY does not like the wave, and he does not like when you rock a random jersey or like a hat at a game where those two teams are not playing. And I see it all the time. And I know in Nashville it happens a lot. And I actually sent a picture to you and George of the game that I went to in Vegas. It was the Golden Knights and the Senators.
Flyers players, right?
Flyers. It's a fly. I was just thinking to myself, did the Flyers play here the other night? Are they playing in a couple days? And it's like, no. This guy's just rocking a Philadelphia Flyers jersey. I heard Habs fans like the wave. Yeah, Matty Best in the house. We love Best. Ban the wave. He agrees. Ban the wave. Everyone can't stand the wave. See, Daily Handle, I dish it out, I dish it back. It's been a long year for the Canadians, so I deserve all of it. I mean, but at the end of the day, I still think they have the last laugh, right? Just because they're down 3-1. Let's dive into a little bit of last night. We only have about 10 minutes left. So from a 5-on-5 standpoint, we've been going over this nonstop, throughout the playoffs and here throughout every single game. So last night, 6-2 final. Obviously, the shot attempts, if you look overall, like Drew mentioned, the expected goals in favor of the Avs last night, barely, like 52% according to Natural Stat Trick. This is, again, just 5-on-5 numbers. The shot attempts, 56-34. The scoring chances in favor of the Avs heavily, 38-20, 65% they owned. The shots, 22-17. The high danger chances pretty much even 10-9, but they were outscored at 5-on-5, 5-0. But ultimately, like, it's the third period. At that point, you're already up, 4 goals. The shot attempts in the third were 22-2 at 5-on-5 in favor of Tampa Bay. The shots 7-1, the scoring chances 17-1, the high danger chances 4-0. So it was a lot closer. If you watch the game, you did see some adjustments from the Tampa Bay Lightning, certainly getting the puck out of their end, dealing with some of that speed. They were able to create some offense off the rush. Who knows, man? Maybe Greg's right. Maybe just, the altitude thing kind of caught up to. Are we looking into that a little bit too much? Are we glossing over that? Because Kucherov didn't get a lot of ice time throughout the first 2 games. Didn't really do a whole lot. And last night, the big boys showed up and they got a lot of ice.
It's the real deal. I said the story and it's a fun story, but the very first time I wrestled in Denver, it blew my mind because I'd heard it my whole life. Like, I've watched sports my whole life, watching hockey and or people going up to Mile High Stadium to play the Denver Broncos and like, it's the thin air, this, that, and the other. It's like, how different can it be? I can tell you, wrestling there, you can't get a full breath. That's what it feels like. And, I don't look like a super athlete, but especially at that point in my career, I was wrestling 3 or 4 times a week. I was a machine and I never ran out of breath. And, man, the air is thin and trying to get a whole breath, it feels like you're being choked. So I think that has something to do with it for sure. They've paid most of their playoff series for, the first month and a half of the playoffs have been played at sea level, and especially in Tampa, you can't get closer to sea level than that. Playing in Toronto, playing in Florida, and playing in New York, there's no elevation. And then going to play in Denver, it's a massive difference in air quality and your ability to breathe, even if you're in shape. These guys are all in shape. They're cardio machines. But if the air is not available to you, then, I think it probably did play into it.
How concerned should we be? I know Drew said, Kucherov's fine, and maybe he's fine and he's good to go. But man, Nick Paul didn't look great last night. Like he came back and he battled through that, but again, Craig Simpson did say he's kind of like, he wasn't skating very well, and it was crazy that he jumped over the boards and he scored that goal. But even before that goal, like skating into the slot, he just clearly didn't look himself. Braden Point didn't look himself in the first 2 games of the series, couldn't suit up last night. Bogosian, had a knee on knee, kind of twisted up his knee, kind of powered
Hit
through
in the
that.
face
How
with the puck.
concerned are we with these guys now moving forward?
I mean, there's no advantage, right? Both teams are at this point, I mean, everyone has got something, I'm sure. Even players that play, lower minutes, guys that are playing 15 to 20 minutes, they're all hurt, all of them. And, like Kadri coming back, I want Kadri to play. I love him as a player. I want him to experience this. I've liked him from day one when he played for the Leafs. I've always loved his game, and I think he's a really competitive guy, and he wants to play. But having surgery on your thumb, which means his thumb was either dislocated or broken, holding onto a hockey stick with a messed up thumb, it's not hard. It's impossible. And even if he can hold it enough to shoot it and move it around, when he's at full game speed, even if he plays, he's not going to be effective like he needs to be.
George, let's kind of roll through some of these more statistics last night, get into tomorrow's game 4, kind of call it and finish up with some props and some picks. So here's Tampa Bay last night. So for Kucherov, 2 shot attempts and 0 shots at 5-5 through the first 2 games. 29 players had more shot attempts than Kucherov at 5-5, and 31 players had at least 1 shot in the series. And Kucherov, right, nothing at 5-5 through the first 2 games. But last night showed up in a huge way, had 11 attempts. I thought he was just really good. Again, sometimes you poke the bear. Maybe he needs to get rocked or, hit from behind to kind of get going. Or maybe he feels like they need to be down in a series to kind of get going, because you saw it with the Leafs. We saw it against the Rangers, and we saw it last night. 11 attempts, 5 scoring chances, 6 shots, 2 assists. Just a great setup on that play, behind the net to kind of off his skate and then over to Stamkos. And I thought that was a big moment because Landeskog had just scored. Hedman continues to be very consistent in this series in terms of putting pucks towards the goal. 9 attempts, 3 shots, 2 assists. Stamkos, 6 attempts, all of them scoring chances, had 5 shots, at a goal and assist. Palat, we had in the tracker, going to like him again tomorrow to hit the score sheet. 3 attempts, 2 scoring chances, 2 shots, a goal, and an assist. Corey Perry last night, again, Stanley Cup record, 4 goals in the finals with 4 different teams, 4 attempts, all of them scoring chances, and all of them on net with a goal and a power play goal. And we've talked a lot about Corey Perry's involvement on the power play when Braden Point isn't playing. A couple people got that last night in our FTN bet tracker or in our Discord channel, because Point was scratched late, and then Perry, we talked about him being on that first power play unit. And if Point can't go tomorrow, Perry will again be on that first power play unit. Just parks himself right in front of the net like Gabriel Landeskog, and he's so good with his stick. Anthony Cirelli, 3 attempts. He scored his first goal in, I believe, 14 games here in the playoffs. And then Andre Vasilevsky, the big showing, 37 saves on 39 shots. And then over to the Avs. I want to show that one more time, George, if you do have it handy. McKinnon, 13 attempts, 8 scoring chances, 6 shots. A lot of that came towards the later part of the game. I think his 4th shot on net came from the corner at the buzzer at the end of the second period. Gabriel Landeskog, as we mentioned, opening up the scoring for the Avs throughout the playoffs, and in 4 games this season against Tampa Bay, he has scored the first goal. 7 scoring chances, 7 scoring chances in the game, 9 attempts, 3 shots, 2 goals. Cale Makar up and down the ice. He's just so fun to watch. 10 attempts, 5 shots, 5 of them scoring chances, 2 apples. And Rantanen, who had 5 assists through the first 2 games, we had him in the bet tracker to have an apple again last night. He had 2 helpers, 6 scoring chances on 8 attempts, and 5 shots on goal. So for tomorrow, we got the odds handy. George, I do believe you do have them. It's basically a pick 'em over to pointsbet.ca. 6 is the total. I'm going to continue to hammer the total. I have picked Tampa Bay in every game of this series, kind of like a sucker, trying to get a little bit of my cash back. I am going to be on them again to win tomorrow night. But I will, obviously, if Kucherov can't go, if Paul can't go, and Point can't go, I mean, it's going to be really hard to back Tampa Bay, but I still will like the over 6. For me, I'm going to like Palat for a point. I'm going to like Hedman for a point. I'm going to like Hedman's shots. It's really tough to take these shot props as singles, but, we've been having some fun with them over in our Discord channel that you can put them all together and just like take 2+, shop around. And I would take the 4. Nichushkin really burned us last night, but Hedman, Makar, putting in McKinnon's going to not really help your odds. It's going to be juiced around -135 if you go with 4 players, and McKinnon is one of those 4. You can take him out. I do like Palat. I'm going to be on Kucherov for 2+ shots, but I think the 4, my favorite 4. I have no problem going back to Nichushkin, but McKinnon, Nichushkin, Cale Makar, and Hedman. Makar and Hedman just play so much. They're always on the ice, and the shot attempts are there on the power play, and they can drive offense from the back end. But Landeskog is somebody that we really need to have on our radar for shots, for power play points, and he's been scoring With 11 goals now in the playoffs, he's been really good here. Who are a couple guys that you like overall to have some success tomorrow night?
I usually probably will wait until tomorrow to see who's in and out. Sure. It's hard right now, but somebody that's got pretty good odds that I'm feeling, and I think could have had 3 or 4 last night was JT Compher. He was all over the ice. If Kadri plays, I think that could limit his ice time pretty big time. He might drop down a bit, but I also feel I will still be pretty surprised if Kadri plays. Like I know, Drew was saying they flew him there and why fly him there if he's not going to play? I have a hard time believing that he's going to play, and I have an even harder time believing that he's going to play center. That JT Compher was all over the place last night. He looked really good. There was 3 or 4 big chances for him, and he could have had, should have had a goal, could have had 2 or 3. So when players get that kind of momentum and they're kind of feeling it, I think it's just a matter of time. And I'm looking, and I found where was it? JT Compher. So you do have to scroll down a little bit. Plus 310 to score. So I love that. And I mean, like I said, he should have scored, and it looked like he's kind of feeling it right now. So that's a sneaky one. The usual suspect, Palat has been playing maybe the best hockey he's ever played, coming up on a contract. What a big surprise. I always like to sprinkle a little bit on McKinnon to score, Stamkos to score. Stamkos scoring last night, like I think that's going to open the floodgates for him. I put a future on him to win the Conn Smythe, and I think last night will be a stepping stone for him to open up his offense and get back to being Steven Stamkos.
Love it. I think with the shot attempts are really there. I mean, these shots, if you really do want to get into some shot prop parlays or take them as singles again, maybe just get in some baseball, props to parlay it, depending on if you can parlay it everywhere. It's those Colorado guys, McKinnon and Makar for me, and Nichushkin. And then, if Kadri doesn't play and Burakovsky doesn't play, or Terry Lehkonen was up on that second line last night. He had 3 shots at plus 140-ish, so he's kind of in play, and 2-1 for an assist. And, I think it's okay if he's getting that kind of ice time and there's no Kadris on that first power play unit, just like Corey Perry. But we're going to wrap out of here. You do think Tampa wins. I think I'm with them as well. And then George said some dude bet 18K on the under last night. My goodness. I wouldn't suggest any unders in this series. There's too much offense to be had. George running the show. We appreciate you. Shout out to Drew Livingstone, producer Drew _ on the Twitter machine. The Eric Young, myself, Chris Meaney, and everybody here hanging out with us. We do appreciate you guys. If you can smash the like button, sub to the show. We will be talking fantasy hockey rankings next week, and we'll be talking about Game 4 and previewing Game 5 on Thursday here on Game Plus Network. Have a great one, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.